The topic today, and we will keep it very quick, is about the art of fundraising. So let's start with DMF. It's donor market fit. And it's pretty well known in Silicon Valley that if you want money, you ask for advice. And if you want advice, you ask for money. So that's a mantra that works like a golden rule in fundraising in for-profit, but actually it works quite well in the nonprofit, because nonprofit fundraising is the gentle art of teaching someone the joy of giving. And the joy is an emotional thing, and giving is obviously, besides your left brain analytical, it's also an emotional right brain thing. It's very important to understand that what is the theme and what are the impact areas that really touches the heart of the donor. So once you've identified the model in the business world, when we are approaching customers in a B2B environment, there is something called as a 5 touch point. What it means is that you generally don't unlock a customer to say yes to your value proposition until you had at least 5 touch points. So it is important to not think about a donor relation as a short-term game, not to think about it as a transactional, not to think about it as that you met the first time and you made an ask, or you just invited them to your fundraiser and they will write a check. And it's very easy to get frustrated in a nonprofit. I have myself done a number of fundraising for nonprofit, and it's very easy to get frustrated. By the way, it is also very easy, without having that self-awareness, that you may frustrate even many times the donor itself, and you may not be aware of it just because you are being very transactional about it and you don't know about it. And the donor feels that you are treating me like an ATM. And when you want the money, you dial me and say, hey, I'm doing this fundraiser, come to my house, or buy this ticket or do this donation. The donor doesn't like it most of the time. So that's why I'm emphasizing the 5 touch point model, so that it helps you to understand the patience and the long game. Like if you think about golf, there's a long game and the short game. This is fundraising is a long game. I wish you a great success, and more important than success, it's the joy. So since there's a joy of giving for our donors, I wish that you have joy in your life for doing what you are doing, which is a great noble work, great impact work. And we are all super thankful to all of you. Thank you and namaste.
So Jupiter basically works with founders to develop leaderships, identify pain points. We want them to be vulnerable, and that's exactly where they find themselves, in a very safe place where they can talk about their vulnerability, they can talk about their challenges, and we help them to innovate in a sandbox environment and trying out different ideas, backing them as much as possible, and letting them think on a very different level where they are able to set audacious goals. We implement and, of course, evaluate how they assess their impact. Collective impact is something that we are now noticing has come a full circle in the last 2 years, is that we are able to talk to different nonprofits who are doing similar but really differentiated work that actually helps us to understand where the gaps are, and to pinpoint some really gold nuggets in the work that they are doing, which sometimes even they don't realize that's happening around them. And they are genius ideas, they are effective, they are very inexpensive to implement, and it actually helps us to take this information and shop it around and saying who would love to work on this side. Of course, there is a fund that we would like to develop. It's a multi-year commitment to actually fund the organizations that we work with, and they have to reach certain milestones, after which we fund them. ACL has educated 10 million people in geographies that are extremely difficult to reach, let alone establish a school in. How do you see 36,000 integrated villages thriving in such conditions? And tell us a little bit about the successful pilots that you have already done that give you the courage to go about such a daunting task.
Repeatability and scalability is key. We actually take that very much to heart. And we agree. So we started off with pilots. They have been in progress for quite some time, actually, already. So there's one example I can give. We had an integrated village development project has been in progress 2017 to 22. So that actually kind of 5-year snapshot has given us a very good view of what we can do, lessons learned, mistakes made, how we can improve things and all that. But overall, the progress has been magnificent. I mean, we do what we call a baseline survey before we start the project to just see what is that area like, what is the literacy there, what kinds of health problems are there, what is the kind of economic background there, what is the average income, and so on. So we do all that stuff before we start the project, and then periodically throughout the course of the project to see, are we doing the right things, do we do some course correction, all that stuff. So that particular project was very insightful. It actually showed us that, literacy went up it was 40% or so, it went up about 20%, whereas digital literacy was much more dramatic. They had absolutely no exposure to any kind of, digital platform, tablet, laptop, whatever you want to call it, even smartphones. We have seen that dramatically rise with the help of our programs. Now they're basically saying almost 50%. So it is a 50% increase from almost 0% to 50%. There has been quite a significant increase in overall economic, the average income. You saw that, right? The tailoring trainees, they come, the girls learn, they're anywhere from 14 to 20 years of age. And they come in, they learn, and then they actually are making anywhere from 17 to 13,000 rupees per month. That's a dramatic change for them. The respect in community has gone up for these women. And they go back and they start their own satellite training centers. They encourage other women to do the same, which is actually a huge multiplying factor. You see that, right? In education, in training, everything, there's a multiplication factor. So what I will say is that we have already started pilots. We have learned from them. We have about 20 IVDs already in progress, many more in planning. Yes, it's a daunting task, but we are, I think, doing a good job thanks to our donors, our volunteers, and eventually, of course, our villagers as well.
How will you pitch a compelling story of Plaksha? Right? This is like a startup company pitching to the venture capitalists or to customers. How will you pitch a compelling story of Plaksha to open up their wallets, especially when many of them are already donors to many other causes, both in US and India, including myself?
So first and foremost, right, like we need to all agree that India truly deserves to produce a university like a Stanford or a Harvard. And that doesn't exist, right? Like IITs are just for undergrad, but having been involved with IITs, you know where their research is, right? And what kind of publications they can publish, or can they really create global impact, right? So it has to start with a dream. The dream is, can we produce a university like Stanford or Harvard out of India? So that's one. The second thing is, it's not just about money. There are many, many people on this call who have a lot of experiences. And I think with our open arms, we would welcome any advice, any kind of involvement people want to teach. This is still at the formative stages. Even though we started working together in 2015, it's only been a few years since the launch, right? So I would say, if you believe in the vision, if you like the people, see how you can be part of it. And money is only one aspect of it, but we want this to be made in India, first for India, and then the role model for all emerging countries, as Neeraj said.
Yeah, the only sentence I'll add is, I think Vandana showed this wonderful multipliers on girl-child education, 30, 40x and others. I deeply believe if you create something which is truly world-class on education, the multiplier on that in shaping a nation is the highest. I don't even know, it's 100, it's 1,000, it's many, much, much more. So I think it doesn't happen in a few years, but it happens in a decade and more. I think we are on the journey to create something truly iconic. Maybe it's the Stanford or the MIT or the Takshashila, which India had, which nobody else had. So it'll be something unique. It'll be inspired by many, but it'll be something iconic. That's my pitch. This is an opportunity, and it's still very young. You can all be a part of shaping it. And everybody who's involved as a founder, take some time to actually invest the time as well with beyond giving the money. So I think those are the things which are.
I think basically what you're saying is create an institution that emphasizes on research, which is very important from innovation point of view, and then creating leaders, right, that not only help solve problems for India, but for the global market as well.